Rick, it's great to see you. You ready?
Good morning, Keith. Yeah, great to see you. Thank you.
Great. Let's do a podcast about fear. The title of this one will Be Careful of Fear. You want to
Mhm.
kick it off?
Fear, I think, is present in pretty much everybody's life. It certainly is in mine. And my experience has been that most of the things I've been afraid of never pan out. And I've spent a lot of time being afraid when there was no point after the fact, when I look back at it, about being afraid. But it robbed me of a lot of present moments while I was being afraid. And I was thinking, about fear in general this week. I had a number of different things that came up in my practice that forced me to look at that. And then I started to realize that a lot of why I feel fear has to do with a negativity bias, that we're always looking for something that's wrong or could be wrong or is likely to be wrong. And likely, again, is one of those made up narratives. You don't know what's likely, you have no clue. So, so the reality, I think, is that the negativity bias creates this propensity, this tendency to be afraid. And then I started to think about, okay, where does fear come from? What is happening with fear? Why is there something that manifests as fear? What is the root cause of that? And what I came up with, and this may just be for me, but I'll throw it out there, and that is, I think that fear comes from separateness, comes from separateness. And here's why. I'm thinking that when I'm with friends and with family, with people I love, and I don't feel like I'm being judged, and we're having a great time, and people are getting my humor and I'm getting theirs, and it's just a lovely way to experience a few moments. There's no fear. Everything seems to be copacetic and wonderful, and you just want it to go forever. Same thing with the one you love romantically. That same kind of feeling comes over you that is completely fearless. And then I started to think, when are the times that I'm most fearful? And those are instances when I feel like I'm being judged. I feel like I'm being criticized, feeling like I'm not understood, feeling that people are in essence different than me. They're apart from me. They're separate from me. And when I start thinking of them as separate, that makes me a little more worried about how I'm going to be accepted, which translates into fear. I'm going to be a little careful with these people. I'm not going to show them my love. I'm not going to be close to them. They've got to earn it. I want to be different. I want to step away. Well, all of those things are, I think, something that comes from my fear of maybe being too vulnerable and being hurt. And so I guess the long-winded version of what I think about fear, you asked me about the title of the show having to do with fear. It's present all the time. But the thing that I can do that helps is to be aware of it. And once I realize that I have the fear, and then I step back from the fear and try to figure out where it comes from, I think I always can come up with the idea that it's separate. What do you do about that? Well, in my case, what I did this week was I tried to pretend like people that I normally would be afraid of or be fearful of or not like or, I feel distance from. I started to pretend like I knew them forever, like they were friends, that we had been through a lot of things together, and here we are with one more adventure. And when I looked at it that way, it didn't always work. But when I tried to role play that, where they really were in my family, or they were people I really loved, and we've had fun before, man, I'll bet you 60 to 70% of that separateness went away, and the fear went away as well. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Rick, I love it. I completely agree about how separateness can play a major role in you experiencing fear, and with that comes suffering. That's been the case in my life too, that feeling separate from other people in the form of, not feeling safe. So you fear judgment about having to be perfect or be liked and all those things. I think additionally for me, in terms of being careful with fear, is that a lot of it I'm just making up, about what would happen. And you said the same thing with what's likely to happen. We have no clue. And I had a situation happen at work a couple of weeks ago in which there's somebody that I report up to in my primary role at work. And they've been they're stepping down because of other duties, and someone else is stepping into that role who happens to be at the same level that I'm at. And so typically you don't have someone who's at the same like level, manage as someone else, but that's the case. And I remember my mind like wanting to pipe up, about like how somebody that's at the same level of me, I'm going to be reporting to them. But I just let it do its thing. And if you don't pay any attention, it stops carrying on. It stops throwing a tantrum, which was certainly the case. And I know this person, and my experience with them, to this point has been just great. They're a fantastic person, and I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot. So the way that I put, that fear, put it down or transcended it was a few things. One, to remember that what my commitment is. My commitment is to be turned on by all experiences, regardless of what my mind said. And then when it comes to what I do in the world, or and that's at work or at ToBeRe or in my community, is I'm here to serve. So the minute that I say I'm here to serve, the fear around that just really just kind of falls away. And whatever form that shows up, I didn't say my service is conditional. Like I got to be the boss and then I'm happy to serve, or I got to like you as my boss or respect you, or you got to have some incredible talent for me to serve. I said, no, my service, my open-heartedness, my love, my commitment to being kind, regardless of how the people think about me or treat me, is unconditional, period. And so that has really helped me, transcend this fear. And I apply that all over my life. Is that I'm going to play pickleball with some friends in a few hours, and the old Keith would be like, "I got to play really, really well." No, you don't. You just go out there and have a blast. I mean, the ball's going to have something to do with it. My opponent's going to have something to do with it. And it's for my friends. There's be a lot of factors, and I can't make it conditional that my experience being a delight is on whether I win or lose. I could do that, but boy, I've done that in the past, Rick. And when I don't get the outcome that I expect, whew, the suffering is intense. I mean, I still remember playing a game as a kid when I was about 10, 11 years old, playing football in the street. And my cousins and I had come back from a deficit of 3 touchdowns, and the winning touchdown was this pass, this long distance pass that was thrown, and it slipped through my fingertips. Rick, I was 11 years old, still suffering over that. So it
They'll
doesn't stop.
remember it.
So I can't make it. I can't make it dependent on outcome. So Rick, thank you for a great show. I love you, and I encourage all our listeners to be aware of fear and don't let it rob you of the present moment.
Or let it run you with a narrative that is habit forming.
Absolutely, especially that. Thank you, Rick.
I love you, Keith. Thanks for including me.
Thank you.